So growing up in the Pittsburgh sports bubble, I didn't have a lot of interaction with Buffalo fans
Okay.
until I went to college.
Mhm.
And I went to college in the fall of 2006. Do you know what the Sabres were doing in the fall of 2006?
Destroying teams.
They went on a 10-game win streak to start the season, and every Buffalo fan decided to be the biggest Buffalo fan they possibly could be. And they were really quick to talk about the newly injured Evgeny Malkin. Was it Malkin that was injured in the first couple games? I think that was. It was him or Crosby. One of them was injured first by John LeClaire.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, right? In Penguins uniform. Jocelyn Thibault in net. So let me tell you, that first season did not give me a good taste for Buffalo fans. And I've kind of worn that ever since. And so thank you for this therapy session. The next on Ugly Thirds.
Welcome back, sports fans, to another episode of Ugly Thirds. Today's topic will be Buffalo Sabres top 3 jerseys. John and Shrems, take it away.
I was going to talk about that wing place that we went to, but man.
I needed that off my chest. That's been festering for 15 years. Oh God. Oh God.
I don't even know. Like, I feel drained after that. Is that a therapist?
I feel pretty good.
Okay. Well, thank goodness then. Number 3 on the list.
This is your episode, Shrems.
40 years. And this.
When did they wear this?
Oh, thank goodness.
Phil forgot his role.
This was the third from 2010 to 2012.
So their 40th anniversary, they come out with this uniform to wear. And this plays into a little bit into their past, but for the most part, this is a new idea.
It evokes the classic jerseys that I don't believe they were wearing at that time. I think they were still in the Navy.
100% were.
And I thought this, like, is this coincidence until I saw the 50th jersey? Because 1, 2, 3, 4 for 40 years. The 50th jersey is a white with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Clever.
Yeah. And look, when you get into design like that where you don't have to say it, you look later and some idiot like us who stares at these things far too long goes, oh, that's how you do that's a good design. That's when you do a design. That's when you see the arrow in the FedEx logo or the H in the Whalers. That's good design when you're like, I've seen that how many times, and I'm still seeing new things.
This is a simple, clean jersey from start to finish. There's nothing here, and they brought the 2 little swooshes from the main logo that you have there, and put it above and below Buffalo. It's for a 40th, for something you're going to wear for a couple of years. It's classy. You have your main logo there.
So with 1970 on it, for it's an anniversary patch, so it adds a bit. I thought for sure they'd put front numbers here, and I'm glad they did.
Yeah.
Is this from the Buffalo Bison?
There's something.
Is that the bottle cap logo?
Yes, that is the nod that I believe that they were going with for this. But again, so far into the past that nobody in 2011, 2012 is going to know that.
Look how gorgeous that is.
Simple. Yeah.
And I think the Bison were in the 60s. And then contrasting nameplate. And Phil, it's showing up, but it's not showing up well. And you have the felted. You went to EPS for this.
I did.
So they zigzagged the stitching, which did happen quite a bit in the old sweater days because these things were meant to stay on for 10 years.
Sure.
Right? They'd wear the sweaters till they fell apart because owners were cheap. We're getting a dream sequence now.
Got it.
And so to turn this into a design feature, which I think adds so much it is a rather plain jersey, all things considered, especially on the back. It's so good. It looks so good.
It looks good on ice too, and they caught him at the tail end of their era, so they were worn and they were being won in. So I think it's a fine third.
I think it's a fantastic jersey. If Buffalo were starting over from scratch, I'd recommend something.
It's not a bad look at all. I wouldn't mind if they went back to it. Number 2, and this is the Adidas version.
Any particular reason?
Not necessarily.
There's not a lot of difference.
No, there is no difference whatsoever other than I like the collar up here. It the Adidas version, the one that's being currently worn, showcased this year. And what I like about this one is that Buffalo won a tremendous amount of games in this jersey. And there was like rumors that like they can only win in this jersey. But when they went from royal blue to this mid '90s, people ate it up.
When did they wear this, Phil?
They wore it from 1996 to 2006.
And then, of course, so this is. I didn't expect you threw a curveball. So this is what 2023.
Just thought this
2022?
This is
year,
their
this
present.
past
This is
year.
this past year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this and it's not the Buffalo Sabres, but it still works incredibly well. Like I can't explain why people love this so much.
It hit at the right of the '90s. Like that mid '90s, people were getting really restless. The '80s were fully dead. I think as a country, we didn't know what our goal was. What was our orientation? Where were we going? What was our place in the world? The new idea of a hyper. Like I think there was a lot of culturally weird, and so everyone was just trying to do like let's do something different. And I think this hit because it's so untraditional. And I mean, you have swooping things, which everything is pointy and sharp. It's dark and it's gritty. We want these. They're buffalo horns.
They are 100%.
And I remember there was actually a whole thing on sportslogos.net, their forums. Someone mentioned this was horns, and people are like, "Come on, you're really reading into things." And then the Sabres actually said sometime later that these were horns.
Yep.
Everything it's gritty and movement and angry. Not even cartoonish, because the '90s was angry cartoonish mascots.
Oh yeah.
This managed to hit the other side of that. So like I was never a huge fan of these because I'm much more traditional. Shocker. But every youth, college, junior team had a version of this pattern that they used. Everyone. I remember playing a team against Brampton that had green versions of it. They were green, gold, and silver, and I'm like, is everywhere the same? Everywhere was the Sabres. Everywhere was the Sabres.
It's funny too because they went complete 180 on their franchise look. You went from royal blue and gold to black, red, and silver, and it stuck. And they started winning in them, which helped considerably. Had they gone on this massive losing streak, I imagine these wouldn't be as revered as they are. But you're in the Cup Finals in these. You're successful, and everybody's wondering like, what are they going to do? What are they going to throw back to this at some point? Of course they are. What else are they going to throw back to? That
give it time.
Slug.
The slug will come back, and everyone will be like, "Oh my god!" I mean, if the Mighty Ducks are back, and everyone loves it.
Okay, that took a turn.
The Sabres do take a lot of hard turns. Like to go from the royal and gold to this to navy and gold Buffa Slug to navy and gold original to essentially the original again.
Yeah.
The number one.
The original again, you said. Phil?
1987 to 1996.
You told me at some point in the past 5 years that you think that Buffalo has the best logo. And maybe because I was jaded to it from seeing it from the time I grew up, I don't think about it. But you're onto something.
I'm a big fan of logos where you can tell what it is. You all the context is there. You don't need additional context.
Yep.
It's like when a pictogram works, right? You see it, you instantly know what that sign is supposed to be. It makes sense.
Yep.
Buffalo, Sabres.
Yep.
Buffalo, Sabres.
Mm-hmm.
What more does anyone need?
That's the show. And we've talked about roundels before and how they don't necessarily work everywhere. This is an example when it does.
Right, and the fact that we have blue on blue and it still works is shocking. The fact that we have the shoulder logo is the same and it still works.
Yeah.
I think that there's so little white in this jersey. It really is only in the logo and the outline of the numbers. Yeah. That it's done in a way that really and truly pops. I don't know, like, and then they had this one from the start. Like, okay, the stripes were a little thinner and they had a lace up. Good luck finding a lace up one.
Find it.
Shocking how that's impossible to find. But like, it's Northwestern stripes, which always work. It's two colors that work really, really well together. It has that story of spite against Toronto with the color scheme. Um, and how many of you even notice there's a red eye?
Yeah.
There's a raging red eye. Phil, you wanna get the raging red eye in there?
Mm.
He's confident. I've talked to Sabres fans who didn't realize it was there.
Yep.
And here's the thing, like having that one bit of red does cost more. So whenever they don't do it, no one notices it's missing, which I think also says how good it is. And in fact, it's so good that their current jerseys,
Go back to it.
right? And what's different? They've added white here, which at times I think is better. But even looking right now, putting the two side by side, I think it's a downgrade.
They've texturized the bison a little bit.
That was just something that couldn't be done before.
Oh,
and I think that might be an upgrade. If you had to do it, if you started over again, and I think okay, yeah, because the shape is a bit weird. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
You see it with some texture, it makes more sense.
It does.
But do I want you drawing outlines in this? No, I don't. And even little things that they chose a white buffalo, which has so many more things in indigenous culture. It's special. There's
Never thought about it.
every little thing in this is really well. Lack of a collar. Look, this is definitely superior. I'd maybe throw this crest on this, and you have one of the best jerseys ever.
Yeah, and you've said that before, and maybe I just overlooked it because I took it for granted.
Do the Parisians appreciate the Eiffel Tower?
I don't know, Phil.
Deep thoughts.
Can I show you something before we go?
Of course.
When I was in middle school and this jersey came out, it was a big deal. Everybody.
The goat head.
Oh yeah, everybody had theories on, oh my god, there's hidden meanings in the goat head. So I'm going to show you one from middle school. Phil, can you get this guy on here?
It's just like the crab reading a book for the
Kind of.
Chicago Bulls.
That's it.
Look closely.
Okay, stop right there. So I don't know. This is like one of those internet lore things before the internet.
Love it.
Here's the eye of the devil, the sinister smile, and the two horns. Do you see the devil in the details?
Let
Again,
us know in the comments.
middle school lore.
It's amazing how those stories made trips around the world without the internet.
Also with the lost student behind the stall in bathroom A hall where a kid died or whatever, all those mystery stories from middle school.
What happened in your
what middle school did you go to?
Okay, on that note.
Thanks, Phil. Take us out on that high note.
Random
and high note?
But never mind. Anyways. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Hit the bell for more videos when they come out. And tune in for another episode of Ugly Thirds.
That explains a lot about Phil.
This started as my therapy session. Then we found some things out about Phil.